What's up guys, my name's Brandon and I've been using the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro on and off as my daily driver for well over a month now, and I feel like I've experienced enough to share my thoughts on each device and which one I think you should buy, because my initial thoughts were completely wrong. So first off, the biggest difference in the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro this year, aside from the usual better cameras, is that they both have the same display. So unlike previous years where the base model iPhone would have an LCD display and the Pro would have the OLED display, this year we get the exact same OLED display on both. Now, Apple did artificially limit the max brightness on the iPhone 12 to 625 nits of max brightness compared to 800 nits of max brightness on the Pro. But aside from that, they both had the exact same 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display. Now, I don't want to just brush over the brightness thing because that difference in max brightness is definitely noticeable, especially here in Florida. So you get the same peak brightness of 1200 nits when watching HDR content, but that's not going to be an everyday thing. That's not like just browsing through your phone and responding to text messages and things like that. So when I was on a bike ride using the iPhone 12 a couple weeks back, I was wishing that I was using the iPhone 12 Pro because I had to take off my sunglasses and, kind of shade the screen to read a text message I got. And that just simply never happened while using the Pro. I never had to shade my screen. I never even had to take my sunglasses off, but I did when I was using the 12. But again, aside from that, the displays are identical. So they're gonna be great for watching videos, great for gaming, and just your basic texting and web browsing as well. I mean, everything is going to be exactly the same. The speaker quality is also the exact same on both the 12 and the 12 Pro. Now, looking around the two phones, you're gonna notice a few differences. So the first thing you're probably gonna notice is going to be the back. So we have a glossy glass back on the iPhone 12 versus a textured matte glass back on the 12 Pro. Now, I prefer the textured matte back, not only because it does not attract fingerprints like this glossy backing does, but also because it just simply feels better in the hand, and I think it looks better as well. It's not as reflective in light, and I just think it looks a lot more premium than the glossy back of the 12. Also, you will notice that the iPhone 12 has brighter colors, whereas the 12 Pro has more subdued colors. And if we look at the sides of both phones, you will notice that we have an aluminum frame on the iPhone 12 versus a stainless steel frame on the iPhone 12 Pro. So of course, the stainless steel frame is going to feel a lot more premium in the hand. However, it does attract more fingerprints, so you will see smudging on the edges versus no smudges really on that aluminum side of the iPhone 12, but they kind of, cancel each other out because you get the fingerprints on the back of the iPhone 12 and not on the back of the 12 Pro. And then also the camera bump is slightly larger on the iPhone 12 Pro versus the iPhone 12 because we do get that additional telephoto lens and that LiDAR scanner down there as well. So it is a slightly larger camera bump, but nothing too noticeable when you set it on a table or anything like that. And then we also get the flat edges on both phones, so they both feel excellent in the hand, but of course the 12 Pro is going to feel more premium in the hand because it is a little bit heavier, and it does also have that stainless steel frame and of course that matte textured backing, which just feels more high-end in my opinion. Now, going back to those cameras, this is always an area where the Pro models shine over the base models, so this year is no different. Now, the iPhone 12 has a lot of the same features that the iPhone 12 Pro has. However, the 12 Pro does have a lot of exclusive features this year. So first off, both do have a lot of the typical things that you would expect both phones to have. So we have night mode, we have smart HDR3, we have portrait mode, we have deep fusion, we have all of those things on both the 12 and the 12 Pro. However, the iPhone 12 Pro has 2x optical zoom. So when you go into the camera, you'll see down here that we only have the 1x and the 0.5x on the iPhone 12, whereas we have the 0.5x, the 1x, and the 2x optical zoom, which is something that I really miss every time I use the iPhone 12. I really wish we had that 2x optical zoom, and that of course is thanks to the telephoto lens on the iPhone 12 Pro. And if you wanted to zoom in even more than 2x, you can go all the way up to a 10x digital zoom on the iPhone 12 Pro, whereas on the regular iPhone 12, you can only go up to 5x on the digital zoom. We also get Apple's new ProRAW format on the iPhone 12 Pro. This is not available on the regular iPhone 12, and this will allow us to shoot photos photos in the RAW format for more manipulating and editing later down the road. Like if you use Photoshop or even just editing in Apple's built-in editor, you can retain a lot more detail and information in a RAW photo compared to like a JPEG photo. So that's a big advantage there as well if you are into editing photography after you take it. We also get that LiDAR scanner on the iPhone 12 Pro like I was talking about earlier, and when I first heard this was coming to the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max, I originally thought that it would be great for like augmented reality and the obvious things, and maybe it would improve Face ID or something like that, but I did not realize how much this would actually improve day-to-day things when it comes to the camera. So not only are portrait mode shots and night mode portraits especially much better, but also autofocus is improved thanks to that LiDAR scanner. So you get some really nice benefits from having this on the Pro over just not having it at all on the regular iPhone 12. Now, when it comes to video, both can shoot video in the all-new Dolby Vision HDR format, but the iPhone 12 is limited to 4K 30, whereas you can shoot 4K 60 on the iPhone 12 Pro. Also the zoom, you can see we can go up to a 6x digital zoom, whereas we can only go up to a 3x digital zoom there on the iPhone 12. So you get double the zoom range on the Pro. But when it comes to the front-facing camera, you're not going to notice any difference in these two because of course we don't have the LiDAR scanner on the front-facing camera. So we have the same exact 12 megapixel f2.2 camera that can shoot 4K 60 and can also do portrait mode. You can also do the night mode shots from the front facing camera, and you have every feature available on the 12 that you have on the 12 Pro. So even though you would think that you're just missing out on the telephoto lens, you're actually also missing out on the LiDAR scanner, which improves autofocus and again is great for future proofing with augmented reality. So for that reason, I think the iPhone 12 Pro is definitely worth the extra money, especially if you shoot a lot of portrait shots, if you shoot photos or videos in low light, if you use optical zoom a lot, if you just zoom in general a lot, or if you just want to use the new ProRAW format. But if you're just an average consumer, I will say that the iPhone 12 camera is going to be perfectly fine, and it's a nice upgrade even over last year's iPhone 11. So don't get caught in all these things that you may not use. Only if you're really into photography and videography will you appreciate the features that the LiDAR scanner and just the overall features that the iPhone 12 Pro camera offers over the iPhone 12. Now, another area where I noticed a difference is in the performance. So we have 4 gigabytes of RAM on the iPhone 12 versus 6 gigabytes of RAM on the iPhone 12 Pro. So I did notice that there's not as many relaunches, like app relaunches on the Pro. And I actually noticed this like pretty much every other day. I would notice and I would think to myself like, wow, the Pro would not have relaunched that application, if I was on it. Whereas the iPhone 12 will relaunch applications more frequently, which can be kind of annoying. It's not a huge deal. And again, you won't notice unless you've used both of them, in hand, but it is something I noticed. So I will say though that gaming is the exact same on both. I didn't feel one phone getting hotter than the other or one phone stuttering more than the other. They both play games exactly the same and both open applications pretty much just as fast on both. Really the only difference is going to come down to the RAM. So applications will be, in memory more often on the iPhone 12 Pro, whereas they'll relaunch more often on the iPhone 12. And then battery life is another area where I didn't really know what to expect in terms of how much better the battery life would be on one phone versus the other, given the fact that they have the exact same battery size, they have the exact same display, and they have the exact same screen size. But after using them both, I realized that the iPhone 12 Pro got better battery life consistently. And even in my big battery test video where I compared all the iPhone 12s and the iPhone XR and things like that, the 12 Pro did outlast the iPhone 12. And I think that's because, it uses less power to relaunch apps and maybe just better optimization due to the RAM. So I do usually last, most of the day with battery on both, usually like 12 hours of usage on both phones. So on a day-to-day basis, you're really not going to be able to tell a difference unless you just compare them side by side like I do. So I would not buy one over the other strictly for battery life because there's not a massive difference there. So now which one should you buy? So when the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro were first announced, I did say that most people should just go with the iPhone 12 since they now both have the same OLED displays and the camera differences probably won't be a big enough difference to spend up. But after spending several weeks of using both phones, I have to admit that I was wrong. I think it is worth it now to spend the extra $150 to $200 to get the Pro model. And I say this because not only does the iPhone 12 Pro look and feel much more premium in the hand, but that additional camera lens and LiDAR scanner make a noticeable difference and bring features to the camera that you just simply cannot get on the iPhone 12. So we're talking about things like night mode portrait shots, things like Apple's new ProRAW format, the 10x digital zoom, the 4K Dolby Vision HDR recording at 60 FPS versus 30 FPS, and also a much better augmented reality experience with AR applications. Not to mention the additional 2 GB of RAM actually makes a slight difference in applications launching from memory, and that's something I did not expect I would notice as much as I have. So for all those reasons, I will be using the iPhone 12 Pro as my main phone and be happy knowing that the extra money was well spent, not just for now, but also for years to come. So there you have it, guys. That is my comparison between the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro after a couple of months of usage. So let me know what you guys think about this video. Did you enjoy it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know all your thoughts down there in those comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And of course, make sure you subscribe for a lot more iPhone comparisons and iPhone reviews in the future. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.